This is the story of how one of gaming's most iconic franchises became a $100 million headache for Amazon, and how Sophie Turner ended up wearing the most famous tank top in video game history. After years of development hell, tens of millions spent with no approved scripts, and serious doubts about whether this show would ever see the light of day, the Tomb Raider series for Prime Video finally started filming this month with the Game of Thrones star as Lara Croft. But the journey to get here reveals everything that's both exciting and terrifying about streaming platforms trying to build the next Marvel-sized franchise. Let's talk about what actually happened behind the scenes, why this project matters more than you might think, and whether Sophie Turner can pull off what only two actresses have attempted before her. Before we get into the chaos of this production, we need to understand what Tomb Raider actually represents. This isn't just another video game adaptation. We're talking about a franchise that has sold 100 million units worldwide as of October 2024. To put that in perspective, that's more than Halo's 81 million and Monster Hunter's 88 million, sitting just below Resident Evil's 130 million. The original Tomb Raider game launched on October 25, 1996. That game is now 28 years old, and by 2002, the franchise had already generated close to $1.2 billion in revenue. Think about that timeline for a second. This character became a cultural phenomenon before YouTube existed, before smartphones, before social media turned everyone into a critic. Lara Croft wasn't just popular in gaming circles. She earned a spot on the Walk of Fame, landed in Guinness World Records, and became one of the first female action game icons at a time when the industry was overwhelmingly male-dominated. The franchise now spans 12 main games plus multiple spin-offs, and she's crossed over into more than 14 other gaming franchises including Fall Guys and Dead by Daylight. Here's what's particularly relevant for understanding Amazon's ambitions. The reboot trilogy from 2013 to 2018 accounts for nearly half of the franchise's total sales. That trilogy alone sold approximately 38 million copies out of that 100 million total. The most recent mainline entry, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, came out in 2018, which means we're approaching a decade since the last major release. The franchise has remained dormant in terms of new games until just last month, when two new titles were announced at the Game Awards in December 2025, a remake called Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis releasing in 2026, and a brand new game called Tomb Raider Catalyst dropping in 2027. The timing here isn't coincidental. Amazon wants to launch their series into a revitalized gaming ecosystem, creating what they're reportedly calling a massive franchise like Marvel, with connected stories across games, series, and films. Sophie Turner is the third actress to take on Lara Croft in live action, and the previous track record is, well, complicated. Angelina Jolie starred in two films. The first, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, hit theaters on June 15, 2001, directed by Simon West. It cost $115 million to make and grossed $274.7 million worldwide. That made it one of the highest-grossing video game adaptations of all time. The catch? Critics absolutely savaged it, giving it a 20% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, though audiences were more forgiving with a 47% score. The sequel, The Cradle of Life, came out in 2003 with better reviews but significantly worse box office. It pulled in $160.1 million worldwide compared to the predecessor's $275 million. That financial drop killed any plans for a third film, even though Jolie had already declined to return anyway. Together, those two movies grossed $432 million, which sounds impressive until you remember the budgets and marketing costs involved. Then came Alicia Vikander's attempt in 2018. This reboot, based on the 2013 video game, had a smaller budget of $90 to $106 million and made $274.7 million worldwide. Exactly the same as Jolie's first film, which is either a weird coincidence or a sign that there's a ceiling for Tomb Raider at the box office. Critics gave it a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, making it the best-reviewed live-action Tomb Raider film, though that's a pretty low bar. A sequel was planned with director Ben Wheatley, but COVID-19 killed those plans. Interestingly, that Vikander film has been trending on Netflix in late 2024 and early 2026 with strong viewership, suggesting there's still appetite for this character. There's also an animated series that premiered on Netflix on October 10, 2024, called Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft, with Hayley Atwell voicing the character. So Sophie Turner is walking into a franchise with proven commercial appeal but a consistent struggle with critical reception. As she put it herself, they're massive shoes to fill, following in the steps of Angelina and Alicia with their powerhouse performances. This is where things get really interesting, and by interesting, I mean messy. In September 2019, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the creator of Fleabag and Killing Eve, signed a 3-year overall deal with Amazon worth $20 million per year. In January 2023, they renewed that deal for 2 more years at a similar mid-8-figure rate. That means Amazon paid Waller-Bridge over $100 million total since 2019. What did they get for that money? 0 TV shows delivered from 2019 to 2025. Let me repeat that. Over $100 million. 0 shows. The first project to actually emerge from this deal is a 2-part documentary about Pacific cephalopods called Octopus, which she narrated and executive produced, premiering May 8, 2025. Not exactly what you'd expect for a $100 million investment. Waller-Bridge was attached to the Mr. and Mrs. Smith series but left over creative differences with Donald Glover. The Tomb Raider series was first reported in development in January 2023, but it's been stuck in development hell ever since. Here's what we know about that development process. The series went through 2 complete writers' rooms before production. Amazon spent tens of millions of dollars in development costs with, initially, no approved scripts as of March 2025. In May 2025, they brought in Chad Hodge as a consultant after the second writers' room wrapped, then appointed him co-showrunner alongside Waller-Bridge. By April 2025, some reports suggested the show might be shelved entirely. Industry insiders were calling Amazon's deal with Waller-Bridge star-effing, signing big names without an overarching strategy. One executive's quote really captures the frustration: Amazon was just signing creators without a clear plan for what they'd actually produce. Jennifer Sock, the former head of Amazon Studios, defended the deal, saying, "When we look at a long-term commitment to a creator like Phoebe, we're so happy now that we retained her because she's obsessed with and grew up playing Lara Croft." She called it a holding commitment, essentially admitting they were paying Waller-Bridge to not work with anyone else while they figured out what to do with her. In November 2024, Amazon converted the deal to a non-exclusive first-look arrangement for significantly less money, and the company announced they were moving to a very performance-based model for future creator deals. Translation: the Waller-Bridge experiment didn't work out how they hoped. But here we are. The show survived development hell, got greenlit officially in May 2024, and Waller-Bridge remains as creator, writer, executive producer, and co-showrunner. When the series was greenlit, she said, "Lara means a lot to me, as she does to many, and I can't wait to go on this adventure." Bats and all. Sophie Turner was first reported for the role in November 2024, but the official announcement came in September 2025 with production set to begin early 2026. She wasn't the only actress considered. She was on a shortlist that included Emma Corrin, Mackenzie Davis, and Lucy Boynton, which led to some initial fan skepticism about the choice. For those who only know Turner as Sansa Stark from Game of Thrones, here's her resume. She was born February 21, 1996, making her currently 29 years old. She started acting at age 13 when she was cast in Game of Thrones in 2009, having been a member of Playbox Theatre Company since age 3. She actually turned down a spot with London's Royal Ballet School at age 11 to pursue acting instead. After Game of Thrones ended in 2019, she earned an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series. Her recent projects include Joan in 2024, Do Revenge in 2022, The Staircase in 2022, and Trust in 2024. She won Harper's Bazaar Woman of the Year award in 2024 for her performance in Joan. She's also been through a very public divorce from Joe Jonas, finalized in September 2024. Turner's been candid about the challenges of leading a project. She said about Joan versus her X-Men work, "I'd never led a TV show before, and I feel as if it's far more challenging than a big movie like X-Men." Tomb Raider represents her first time leading a show at this scale. Her preparation has been intense. Training started in February 2025, nearly a year before filming began in January 2026. She's been training 8 hours per day, 5 days per week. As she described it, so it's been a lot. Beyond physical training, she's been playing the video games and reading the Tomb Raider comics. But here's what's interesting, she's deliberately avoiding Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider movies. In her words, "I don't want to imitate. I've got to create my own thing. So as much as I love those movies, I can't watch them right now." She's never met Jolie but says she would love to. Turner's statement when announced captures her approach, "I am thrilled beyond measure to be playing Lara Croft. She's such an iconic character, who means so much to so many, and I am giving everything I've got." She also noted, "I've been a longtime fan of Tomb Raider and the character of Lara. She has always felt for me, very emboldened in a male-dominated world. She's a fierce female role model." On January 6, 2026, Amazon announced the full cast alongside Phoebe Waller-Bridge's statement, "Tomb Raider boasts a plethora of iconic characters. I am thrilled to have been able to bring some personal and fan favorites to the screen while also introducing a few new rascals of our own to the mix. This cast is beyond my wildest dreams. They've assembled a genuinely impressive ensemble that mixes characters from the game canon with new creations. From the games, we're getting Jason Isaacs as Atlas de Mornay, Lara's uncle. Bill Patterson plays Winston, the long-standing Croft family butler. Martin Bob Semple is Zip, Lara's tech support and friend who's appeared throughout the franchise. The new characters are where things get interesting. Sigourney Weaver plays Evelyn Wallace, described as a mysterious, high-flying woman who is keen to exploit Lara's talents. Jack Bannon is Jerry, Lara's personal pilot and snack collector. John Heffernan plays David, an exhausted government official who finds himself tangled up in Lara's unusual world. Celia Imrie is Francine, head of advancement at the British Museum, focused solely on raising funds and glasses of champagne. Patterson Joseph plays Thomas Warner, a senior government official brought in to clean up an almighty mess. Sasha Luss is Sasha, a fierce, deeply competitive new adversary of Lara's. Juliette Matamid plays Georgia, a devoted, by-the-books curator at the British Museum dedicated to the proper preservation of history. And August Wittgenstein is Lucas, an illegal raider who shares history with Lara in more ways than one. Behind the camera, Chad Hodge joins Waller-Bridge as co-showrunner and executive producer. His credits include Single All the Way, The Darkest Minds, and he previously created Wayward Pines, The Playboy Club, Runaway, and Good Behavior. Jonathan Van Tulken, who directed episodes of Shogun, is directing and executive producing. The production companies involved include Amazon MGM Studios, Crystal Dynamics, Wells Street Films, Story Kitchen, and Legendary Television. Story Kitchen has a first-look deal with Amazon MGM Studios specifically to develop Tomb Raider stories into series and films, showing this is meant to be more than just one show. Vernon Sanders, head of global television at Prime Video and Amazon MGM Studios, said, "Lara Croft is one of the most recognizable and iconic video game characters of all time. We are thrilled to have the wonderfully talented Sophie Turner bring this character to life who is defined by her courage, strength, and unshakable resolve." On January 15, 2026, exactly 9 years to the day, Amazon released the first-look image of Sophie Turner as Lara Croft and confirmed production was officially underway. Some sources indicate January 19 as the official production start date, but filming definitely began this month. The image shows Turner in what fans immediately recognized as the iconic Lara Croft costume, teal tank top, red-tinted sunglasses, belt, and dual handgun holsters. It's a clear homage to the classic video game look while being updated for live action. The timeline from here is uncertain. No release date has been announced, but industry estimates suggest early 2027, which would align with the release of Tomb Raider Catalyst, the new video game. That coordination would support Amazon's goal of creating a connected universe across multiple media. Here's what's really at stake with this production. Amazon didn't just spend over $100 million on Phoebe Waller-Bridge for one show. They didn't commit tens of millions to development costs just to have another streaming series. They're not assembling Sigourney Weaver, Jason Isaacs, and this level of talent for a modest project. Amazon wants Tomb Raider to be their Marvel. They've said as much internally. They want a franchise that spans games, series, films, animated content, all feeding into each other and creating a cultural phenomenon that drives subscriptions and keeps people in their ecosystem. The franchise ownership history supports this ambition. In May 2022, Embracer Group purchased Crystal Dynamics and the entire Tomb Raider franchise from Square Enix for €300 million, approximately $300 million. The franchise is currently owned by CDE Entertainment, formerly under Embracer. That means there's corporate alignment for a multimedia push that wouldn't have been possible when different companies own different rights. Video game adaptations have historically had a terrible track record, but that's changing. The Last of Us showed what's possible when you treat the source material with respect and give it prestige TV resources. Fallout proved you can create something new within an established universe and satisfy both fans and newcomers. Arcane demonstrated that animation can elevate gaming stories to new artistic heights. Tomb Raider has advantages those properties didn't. It's been around for 28 years. Multiple generations have grown up with Lara Croft. The character has proven box office appeal across 2 different actresses and 3 films totaling over $700 million in worldwide box office. The games continue to sell, with the reboot trilogy alone moving 38 million copies. But it also has challenges. The critical reception to previous adaptations has been mixed at best. Fan debates still rage about whether Angelina Jolie or Alicia Vikander was the better Lara. Some fans wanted an older, more experienced version of the character rather than another origin story. There are concerns about whether the series will honor game canon or create entirely new mythology. The development troubles don't inspire confidence either. When a project goes through 2 writers' rooms and gets to the point where industry reports suggest it might be shelved, that's usually a bad sign. The fact that it survived suggests either stubborn commitment from Amazon or legitimate belief that what they have is special. Everything about this project's success hinges on whether Phoebe Waller-Bridge can translate her specific talents to action-adventure television. Fleabag worked because of her voice, her character work, her ability to make deeply flawed people compelling. Killing Eve succeeded through sharp writing, unexpected tonal shifts, and complex female characters. But those are character dramas. Fleabag had no action sequences. Killing Eve had violence but not large-scale set pieces. Waller-Bridge's work on No Time to Die and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny shows she can contribute to big-budget action, but she wasn't the primary creative force on those films. Tomb Raider needs to deliver spectacular action while building a character-driven story. It needs to appeal to fans who've spent decades with Lara while being accessible to people who've never touched a controller. It has to justify Amazon's investment while setting up future installments. And it has to overcome the skepticism that comes from being another video game adaptation and another project from a creator whose $100 million deal hasn't exactly been productive. When Waller-Bridge says Lara means a lot to her and she grew up playing the games, that matters. Passion for source material doesn't guarantee success, but lack of it almost guarantees failure. Her statement about bringing personal and fan favorites to the screen alongside New Rascal suggests she understands the balance needed. There's a lot we still don't know about this series, and those unknowns are significant. We don't know what era of Lara's story they're telling. Is this an origin? Is it set during her established adventuring career? The cast includes her uncle Atlas and butler Winston, suggesting connection to her aristocratic background, but we also have characters like the illegal raider Lucas who shares history with her, implying this isn't her first adventure. We don't know how closely they're following any particular game's story or if they're creating an entirely new narrative. The presence of characters like Zip from the game suggests some fidelity to canon, but all the new characters indicate substantial original material. We don't know the tone. Is this going for the grittier, survival-focused approach of the reboot trilogy? The more adventurous, globe-trotting style of the classic games? Something entirely different. The description of Francine raising glasses of champagne at the British Museum suggests some humor, but we have no sense of the overall balance. We don't know how many episodes, what the budget is, or what the action set pieces will look like. For a franchise built on spectacular locations and death-defying stunts, those are pretty crucial elements. And we don't know if this is the start of something bigger or a one-and-done experiment. Amazon's plans for a massive franchise only work if this first series succeeds both critically and commercially. On January 15, 2026, Sophie Turner officially became the third actress to portray Lara Croft in live action. After years of development chaos, $100 million spent on a creator deal that produced nothing, tens of millions more in development costs, 2 writers' rooms, and serious doubts about whether this project would ever happen, cameras are finally rolling on Prime Video's Tomb Raider series. The franchise Turner is stepping into has sold 100 million video game copies, generated over $1 billion in revenue, and created one of the most iconic characters in gaming history. It's also produced 3 live-action films with mixed critical reception despite solid box office, and it's been dormant for years waiting for the right approach to bring Lara back. Amazon isn't doing this casually. They want their Marvel-style franchise, their interconnected universe-spanning media, their cultural phenomenon that justifies their investments and drives their platform. Phoebe Waller-Bridge isn't here for a modest adaptation. With Sigourney Weaver, Jason Isaacs, and this level of creative team, they're swinging for something significant. Sophie Turner has spent nearly a year training 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. She's playing the games, reading the comics, and deliberately avoiding the previous films to create something new. She's gone from Sansa Stark to Jean Grey to Joan to Lara Croft, and this is her first time truly leading a television show at this scale. Whether any of this works, we won't know until early 2027 at the earliest. But after all the development hell, all the money spent, all the doubts and delays, Lara Croft is finally back. And for the first time in this franchise's 28-year history, she's getting the prestige television treatment with the resources and talent to potentially match the character's legacy. The question isn't whether Sophie Turner can fill Angelina Jolie and Alicia Vikander's shoes. The question is whether Amazon, Waller-Bridge, Turner, and this entire team can finally crack the code that's eluded Tomb Raider in live action for over 2 decades, how to make Lara Croft work as well on screen as she does in the hands of players worldwide. Production is underway. The adventure has begun. Now we wait to see if this $100 million gamble pays off. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.